What's going on, everyone? I have a special treat of a video for you guys today. Today, we're going to talk about the Chicago real estate market, but not just the city of Chicago. We're going to compare what is happening in the Chicago burbs compared to the city of Chicago. And I have a special guest for you guys today. And wherever you guys are watching this, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below. Or, you can reach out to me or the special guest whenever. Our information is going to be in the descriptions. But bringing to the stage, my buddy of mine, someone I look up to, Jordan Pyle. What's going on, Jordan? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on here today. This is exciting. I've never done StreamYard before, so excited to collaborate here and talk about city versus suburbs and how we can help some people.
Awesome. So first things first, let the people know, like, who's Jordan Pyle. I mean, a lot of my people on my Facebook don't know. Unless you're a real estate agent that you're friends with me on Facebook, you probably know who Jordan is. Or on my YouTube channel, you've probably seen his YouTube videos. If you're a consumer watching my content, you've probably seen, Jordan's content as well. And I'll link his channel in the description as well. But Jordan, tell the people who you are.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. No, I love everything that you're doing, man. It's I see a young version of myself in you, and you have that hustle and drive to go out there and create a really nice business. But what I do notice about you is you're very client centric first, right? Making sure you're providing the best service and bringing the most value. So I respect that, and it's cool seeing what you're doing so quickly in this industry. So Jordan Pyle, so I've been actually selling real estate downtown in the city of Chicago for the last 9 years. This is my 9th year, which is just absolutely crazy. Seems like a blink of an eye and we're already here, but run a small team here. Been at some different brokerages along the way. We're currently at eXp Realty, and we're focused on the downtown city market. Most of our business is sphere of influence, referral based. Starting to really dive deep into video and digital advertising, and kind of just wanting to keep up with the trends with the modern world, such as doing stuff like this. So that's about it. I mean, we've been helping buyers and sellers. We've helped over hundreds of clients, and over almost about $50-60 million in total volume over the last 8-9 years, and learning something new every day. So it's just fun to be able to get on here and be able to share some value.
Awesome. So let's just dive into the meat and potatoes. But basically, I see a lot of different stuff, from here in the suburbs. And I know, I get a lot of calls from people that are relocating from the city, and even a lot of my buddies I went to school with, that live in the city right now that are moving back home, and stuff like that to the burbs, just because they're like, hey, we don't, need to live in the city because a lot of stuff is closed down. But from a buyer's perspective right now, what are you seeing in the city of Chicago? Like, what's slow and what's hot?
Cool. Yeah, no, it's been a crazy year, a little bit different, really fun year. Everything is, we're kind of learning as we go here with everything since the pandemic. It's just, nothing's been normal, right? So we're adapting and figuring things out as we go. But what we have seen, and it's pretty much a nationwide stat, and it rings true for the city, is crazy demand, right? We were starting to see at the start of the year, interest rates were still, hovering right in that 3% range. A lot of people that maybe didn't be a part of the first wave of pandemic buyers, I think that they were kind of entering the market in the start of 2022. So some of the things that are hot in the city, and I actually just did a video about this on my, I think, Instagram, is that you hear all this hearsay out there and all this stuff about the fact that it's a crazy seller's market. And for a lot of neighborhoods, it is. So essentially meaning there's just way more demand than there is supply, right? But Chicago, the city of Chicago, there's over 77 different neighborhoods, right? So each one has its kind of own niche and its own demographics and its own trends. So from a hot standpoint for buyers, we've seen a ton of demand, mainly on the west side of the city. So anything west of the expressway. So thinking about neighborhoods, I'm going to classify them as West Town in general. But really that includes, Bucktown, Wicker Park, super, super hot right now. You have Ukrainian Village, East Humboldt Park. I would even say Logan Square. Those main 5 or 6 markets there are probably the hottest, where we're sitting around like 1 month of inventory. So an extreme seller's market. Then if you kind of jump over, and I think a lot of the reasons that market's so hot is because a lot of people have now been priced out of the main city markets like Lincoln Park, Lakeview, and things like that. So they're just jumping west to get a little bit more value and space for their dollar. So I would say more of a normal market where we're sitting around 3 to, let's say 4, maybe 5 months of inventory. Our markets like, Lincoln Park, honestly, is a little bit in that range. And then things like Old Town, River North, Streeterville. These markets are starting to come back around. But they're not quite as hot as the west side of the city. And then I would say the markets that are probably struggling the most from a buyer demand standpoint are markets like the Loop and the South Loop. And those are probably more buyers markets around like 6+ months of inventory.
Do you find a lot of kickback, or like what's kind of like the dialogue that you're having with your buyer clients, especially first time home buyers and stuff like that want to explore the market, and want to transition from that period of renting into being homeowners? Like, what kind of dialogue are you setting them up for success, to really figure out like their goals and to figure out if this is really their best plan for themselves and their future?
Yeah. Great question. And it's a conversation I'm having every single day, multiple times. And, the thing about Chicago is it's the most rent heavy city in the country, like the number one. So a lot of the demand and a lot of the activity in the market happens the first, half of the year typically, because it's a lot of when the lease ends, for renters that are wanting to become home buyers. That is kind of how the market is being determined, because they're trying to sign leases, or their leases are ending in March, April, May, and maybe into the early parts of June. So at the end of the day, the market we're in right now, we're obviously seeing increasing interest rates, and that is going to really limit affordability and purchasing power. So if you're in a situation where you have some savings, you're planning to be in Chicago for at least probably, I would say at this point, 2 to 3 years, and you're paying a pretty good amount in rent, it is definitely more affordable still, even with higher interest rates and with home values being at all-time highs. It's still more affordable to own than it is to rent. So the conversation I'm having with a lot of these people is, even though some people now, especially in the last 2 to 3 weeks, as we've seen interest rates jump almost a point over the last month and a half, it's still a long-term gain to be able to secure a space today, even if you're paying 5 to 10% over an asking price of what the home might be worth. It's still better to secure that 4.5 or that 4.75 rate over the long term of a 30-year fixed mortgage. So when I kind of talk to buyers, I want to understand their full picture. And it's not just, do you want to buy? It doesn't make sense for you to buy. And if it doesn't, I'm going to call them right away. And the reason that might be is if they're only planning to be here a year, you're probably not going to be able to recoup. If you have to go sell your property in a year, you're not going to recoup the closing costs and things like that, right? So that is kind of the main conversation, is what is the long-term play, making sure we have different exit strategies. So can you rent the property out if you have to, and just making sure that they're making an educated decision and thinking long-term from a macro perspective instead of just short-term.
And I kind of have the same dialogue here as well. I think, the market over here, especially when working with a lot of first-time home buyers and, move-up buyers as well, I guess it's the dialogue the same. It's like, okay, does this really make sense for you? Like, what is your ultimate game plan? Like, are you trying to sit here for 2 to 3 years? I mean, the suburbs hot. I mean, you talk about Wicker Park, Bucktown and everything heavy, 1 month supply of inventory. There's places by me in like Glen Ellen, Western Burbs, like Naperville and stuff like that, where we're experiencing like 0.7, 0.5 month supply of inventory. And it's crazy, people waiving inspections and all that stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm a pretty straightforward with a lot of my buyers right now. And I tell them like, hey, this is what's winning my listings. And, I tell them straight, like, hey, these are what buyers are doing to win my listings. And I'm telling them, hey, preferred lender, appraisal gaps, strong earnest money, kind of the full 9 yards. Like, hey, who's on the other side that's betting your side? Like, is it, a great agent that's going to be responsive? Loan officer, their attorney, everything like that. And, at the end of the day, a lot of people always bring up interest rates to me, like they do to you as well. In my opinion, at the end of the day, people are buying for, because life changes, right? People get into relationships, people get married and stuff like that. People start having kids, people work from home and, they need a bigger house. They need 2 offices at home. I think it's just very like that. So just to kind of like my opinion, I think, buying because where interest rates are at, it's all about life decisions. But at the end of the day, if you're renting, and you have a nice, goose egg and stuff like that, money saved up, I think, buying is probably in your favor, especially being able to, lock in that rate, because, everyone just sees it. It's just going to keep continuing to go up and up and up. So.
Yeah. And I was going to say that. I was going to kind of come back on that. Is what I was going to say is, you just hit the nail on the head, is most of my clients, there's still some that are on the other side, but most of my clients are buying more what I describe as for lifestyle purposes versus strict investment purposes. And there are still those savvy buyers out there where maybe they're buying their second investment property and they already have their primary residence secured, and they are buying for the numbers, right? I find a lot of these people are buying because they want to achieve a certain lifestyle. So like you said, maybe they're now working from home and they need a different space. They're growing their family, they're downsizing. The 2 subsets of the market right now that are driving the majority of the home sales are millennial buyers and then empty nesters. And it's kind of the opposite. You have renters becoming homeowners or first-time homeowners that are now selling their place and basically in upsizing, right? And then you have the empty nesters now that are downsizing their suburban homes and wanting a little slice of the city. So that is a lot of who I'm seeing right now. Is we're seeing the people that are selling their first home and needing more space, they're often going out towards you, right? They're out to the suburbs because they want the yard, they want more privacy, they want to just feel like they own a plot of land versus being in a condo building. And then on the flip side is all of their parents are now thinking about selling their big houses in the suburbs and getting a smaller, maybe 2 or 3 bedroom condo here in the city. So I think it is mainly lifestyle driven. There are still some good investment opportunities out there. And I think that as we get into the back half of 2022, that's going to become even more prevalent, being able to identify, some longer days on market, some more motivated sellers, and being able to capitalize on not having 5, 6, 7 offers on every single property. So that is a big trend that I'm seeing right now. And like you said, I think interest rate's almost irrelevant at that point. It does impact your payment. So now, like some buyers, they're in the market and they're locked on a property at a, let's just say a 4.25 or a 4% interest rate. If that jumps to 5%, they're almost paying on a $500,000 property another $350 to $500 a month on their payment, and that makes a big difference for a lot of people.
Right. And you touched on this. I mean, with the perspective of what your sellers are seeing. So to dive deeper into that, do you see people leaving Illinois, aka leaving the state/suburbs? Because a lot of sellers that I'm working with, especially last year, is that a lot of people are getting out of Illinois. But I work a ton of relocation people coming into Illinois. So it's always that balance of like, okay, yeah, people are always going to see on the news and stuff like that. People are escaping Cook County for that county in Arizona. I don't even know the name of it. It's like Phoenix or whatever, somewhere in Phoenix. But what are you seeing in the state? What's the conversation that you're having with your sellers? Is a lot of your sellers just moving out to the burbs, or are they, working from home now? They never have to go back in the office. So they're like, okay, this is the time. We're going to Florida. We're going to Tennessee. We're going to Arizona, wherever the case may be. Where are your people leaving Illinois, or what's kind of happening there?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't, an outflow of people out of Illinois, right? And that's in general. We are, from a population standpoint, we are losing people every year. But I think a lot of people, they're not. Some people are, but not most people aren't buying. Like they're not moving and then buying their primary somewhere else. A lot of people are, but what I'm seeing is a lot of people are interested now in second homes. So they might be, getting a place here in the city that's, their spot here locally, but then they're also making sure that they can have something in Florida or in Arizona or in Utah or, so some of these different markets, and a lot of the markets, or Texas, there's these no income or low income, low tax states in general. So I'm seeing some people starting to just desire, again, lifestyle. So it's not that they want to completely detach from Chicago, because a lot of them still have family here. They have their roots. It's a great place to live and work and make money and build a career. If you're in Florida, it just has a different vibe, but you might want to have a little piece of that. So I'm seeing people now be interested in second homes. And mainly the places I'm seeing most people go to is Florida. But then from a city standpoint, not out of Illinois or out of Chicago, I'm just seeing people move in a similar area, but just needing more space or needing less space or needing a different type of configuration. So they might be selling a condo that's a 2-bed in the city in Lincoln Park, but then they're just buying something a bigger, like a townhome or a single family home in Lincoln Park. So I think nowadays, in the last couple of years, there was more of a sentiment of like, everyone's leaving Chicago or everyone's leaving Illinois. And I think a lot of people spoke too soon, because I do a lot of reload business as well. I'm still consistently getting people moving to Chicago, and most people are moving to Chicago for work purposes.
And that's a good point. So when we touch base about reload, I think the reload that I do when people reach out to me via YouTube or my referral partners is typically, one, like you said, work related purposes. I mean, Illinois is I get told by a lot of people, especially that, have grown careers here in Illinois. They always tell me that Illinois is a great place to, make money, climb up the ladder for a job and stuff like that, but it's not the best place to retire. And, like I said, that's why I get a lot of people that sold last year. I helped sell last year, relocate out of Illinois and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, a lot of people typically that reach out to me when they talk about relocation here to the burbs is that, they're moving one because of work. They have a job in the city, but they ultimately don't want to live in the city. So they just want to be in the Western burbs, easy train ride, 45-minute car ride if they want to. Or they're relocating here because of family, right? They're from the Midwest originally. They have family in Wisconsin, maybe Michigan, or wherever the case may be, but they want the big city feel of Chicago still.
Yeah.
So let's talk about relocation from the city to the suburbs and vice versa. Do you see a lot of people, not even people that you service as clients, but like, other colleagues in the city as well? Are they working a lot of like, are they seeing their clients relocate from the city just to the burbs, or what are you seeing like that?
Yeah. Well, I think, one thing we all realized and learned and was able to adapt to and realize it's honestly a very good convenience is, a lot of the secondary and tertiary markets. And I say that from being centered in the city, right? I look at the secondary
Right.
markets being kind of the in-between suburbs, and then, even further out, like a little bit more like where you're at,
Hmm.
between
Hmm.
25, 50 minutes to an hour outside the city is they're basically realizing the connectivity, the fact that everyone learned how to be on Zoom. Everyone
Hmm.
learned that they can work from home if they have to. They can do these different things. People, like you said, still want to be attached to the city, so they don't want to be so far out that they can't come in for the weekend, or that they can't come in for an event at night, or maybe their friends having a birthday party. Like, people still want to be able to be connected to that. But I think that
Hmm.
in general, we're going to start seeing an outward push out of any metropolitan city into these
Hmm.
secondary and tertiary markets, and I'm definitely seeing that in Chicago. I have a client now. They just sold their 3-bedroom condo in the city,
Hmm.
and they're going to be looking out towards you. So that's another
Hmm.
conversation in itself that you and I need to have, because I want your help, because I know that you're the man for the job in Naperville and in the Western suburb market. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's a prime example. 2 young kids. They had a good amount of space in the city, but it's just more like. And a lot of this is also being driven by school districts, right? So they want to be
Right.
getting kids into a certain type of school. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, a lot of my sellers are also 25 to 35 years old. And if
Hmm.
they're not into those, family formation stages of their life,
Hmm.
they're still wanting to be in the city. So I'm
Right.
seeing
Hmm.
those people now go from like maybe a high-rise River North apartment to like a 3-unit walk up in the city, or maybe in Logan Square or on the west side, where they do
Hmm.
get a little bit more of that space and a slight bit more of that privacy, and just really feeling like they own their own little piece.
Hmm.
But they're running away from some of the higher assessment buildings downtown in the city, like in the Loop and River North and Streeterville, just because,
Hmm.
again, affordability, it really takes a big piece of the pie out of your mortgage payment every month if you're paying a $750 to $1,000 assessment on a
Hmm.
550,
Right.
$600,000 place. So
Right. Right.
definitely seeing the migration and the connectivity is allowing that, because people know they can and not feel so isolated if they're just going to ship out to the suburbs.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean, I'm seeing that too. I mean, even from, not just people relocating from the city to the burbs. I see people relocating from the burbs to the city as well because, like you said, maybe, their kids are already graduated, they have this huge house, and they just want to downsize, city living, and then also get a condo maybe out in Florida.
Yeah.
So they can kind of be snowbirds and stuff like that. But I know we can talk on and on and on about kind of like the different markets between the suburbs and the city. But do you want to tell the people your contact info, how to reach you?
Yeah, I think the best way is you could just text or call me at 312-805-7074, or my Instagram. You can put that in the show notes or whatever you want to do. But Instagram is probably the most widely used social platform for myself, or my YouTube channel. You can go and check out some good information about Chicago real estate, and just a lot of educational content there. But yeah, feel free to call or text me. That's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, and if you anyone that's watching on Facebook, if you need the connection to the city, give me a ring. More than happy to connect you with Jordan, and we got you covered. When it comes from relocating from River North to Naperville, or Naperville to River North, we got you covered on all those aspects. But I appreciate you jumping on this call, Jordan, and we'll for sure do this again.
This was awesome, man. I'll have to have you on my channel sometime here soon. But love what you're doing. Here to help anyone I can, and I'll definitely keep you in mind for all my people moving out to the western suburbs as well.
Cool, awesome.